real estate, there's a lot more thinking involved, and more strategy, and more negotiations, and that had I not been in the military, I probably would have been more careless with my investments. But because of my time in the military, I feel like I have to fully understand what I'm doing before I'm ready to take. I think that the risk is mitigated just through knowledge.
Yeah. Right. Tanner, welcome to episode 1 of Freedom Fighters. We just recorded the intro for everybody, but as we talked before, we don't have a real plan. We're just gonna ad lib and
Wing it
and go.
Yeah.
Build a parachute on the way down. So we already jumped out of the plane. Let's go.
Yeah.
So you kind of want to start off and give a little bit of background, where you're from, your family, and kind of a little perspective there.
Yeah. So I was born in Denver and lived there for a couple of years, and then my dad was at Navy at the time, and so we got stationed on the East Coast and in New Hampshire, which was where my mom was from, and lived there until I graduated high school, and enlisted in the Army, went active, got stationed in Minnesota, where I met my now wife, and she had 5 kids at the time. We had 2 more, and I adopted the older ones. So we live here in Omaha with our 7 kids now.
I was going to highlight that. How many kids?
Yeah.
But you highlighted it already. So
yeah. And so when we left Minnesota, I got stationed in Fremont, Nebraska, and didn't like the housing out there. So we started looking at Omaha, bought a house sight unseen, and fell in love with the area, fell in love with people here. And not long after being stationed here, I got into real estate and decided I wanted to get out of the military and pursue real estate full time. And now that's what I do. I'm a deal junkie of sorts.
Deal junkie. So what do you, kind of tangent off from that, what do you think of the Fremont market now? So when did you move here? How many, was it 4 years?
2019, actually. 2020, so yeah.
Just right 4 years.
Yeah.
So what do you think of Fremont market 2019, 2020 compared to 2024?
That's different. I mean, I think
it's growing is why I asked.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think it's going to be tough to see development reach all the way to Fremont because of the floods that happened, obviously, 2018, 2019?
2019.
Yeah, so I don't see all the development flowing that far, and we still got a ways to go before the Omaha market kind of reaches out there. And just with the land that we have available in the immediate radius, I see it growing south first, and then it'll stop at the river and it'll start flowing north. And if it flows north, we might be 20, 30 years away from it reaching Fremont, but there's definitely a lot going on along 275. I mean, even when I used to ride my motorcycle to work from Omaha. It was a great commute, 45 minutes, just fresh air, loved it. And you'd see developments, right? I mean, I used to joke because you'd have a sold sign, and then the house next to it would have a for sale sign. The house next to it, they were putting a roof on. House next to it, they had framing done, pouring foundation, raw land. And it was just boom, 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 boom.
So we just...
Yeah, it's crazy how quickly they were building. And now you see the manufactured lake communities going up, and all the industrial buildings going along the 275.
Proved, I don't know how much it is to redo their hospital there. They're supposed to be expanding, I don't know, $100 million or whatever they're doing.
It was a lot. Yeah.
It was a lot, but yeah, they're definitely expanding in Fremont. So
yeah, it's a cool market. It's a small community compared to Omaha, but it's got some character. And I think for us, when we were house shopping, it was too much wallpaper and too much 70s style. We weren't sure we were ready for that big of a rehab when we first bought a house, and then for us it was the school districts. Omaha school districts are,
I mean, you're in Millard, suburb of Omaha, kind of suburb school district,
right?
Really part of Omaha, but yeah. So you did initially look at housing out in Fremont.
Yeah, we did. So we had an agent, met him on BiggerPockets, and he was touring houses for us, going walk. I mean, he probably walked 20 houses for us, and we offered on about.
You were one of
9.
them guys.
Oh yeah, but we were putting out offers. We to offer on 9 and keep losing them. We didn't offer on anything in Fremont. We saw probably 2 or 3 houses out there and said, yeah, probably not gonna work. And so then we just stuck to Omaha. But yeah, it was we bought right in 2020, and interest rates were low, and it was very competitive. People were still getting 15 offers on properties. So
yeah, it's still happening. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said put a house on the market and multiple offers same day.
Yeah.
Maybe said 3 offers over asking. So it really depends on the price point, if it's a desirable location versus not as hot of an area. But yeah, it's still happening here in Omaha. So you you said you got into real estate once you got here, but then you said you found your agent on BiggerPockets.
Yeah.
So how much were you into BiggerPockets for, and what is BiggerPockets if someone doesn't know?
Yeah, so BiggerPockets is more of the beginner's network into real estate. It's the foot in the door to, I guess having the idea to want to invest in real estate to learning how to buy your first property. It's the 0 to 1 playbook, and great network for people that want to get started. And so at the time, we were living in Minnesota, and the George Floyd riots were going on. COVID obviously had everything all out of whack, and we had a lot of family members that passed away just coincidentally right around the same time. Various health issues. My wife's cousin was a police officer and he was shot, and her aunt fell and hit her head off of the ladder and passed away. And so it was just tragedy after tragedy. And we just realized that we were on this hamster wheel of, I go to work and you got them, what do we call them, golden handcuffs?
Mm-hmm.
And being in the military as an E5, making, enough money to support a family of 3, having 7 kids it was like we always had to have side hustles. We were bartending. We were, I worked UPS, and we're doing this, that, and the other. And then with everyone passing away, we just kind of had this epiphany of we have nothing to leave our kids. We don't own anything. We don't own our vehicles. We finance them. So the bank owns them. And so we just started this pursuit of the financial freedom. And so started getting into books and eventually reading things in the books. And I'd have to Google, what is this? And every time I Google it, BiggerPockets would pop up. I'm like, why don't I look into this BiggerPockets thing? Just through talking to people on the forums. And when we eventually did get orders to move, I said, no, we're gonna buy an investment property this time. I'm not renting anymore. And so found our agent Ethan Hamilton on BiggerPockets, and he owned a bunch of investment properties already, and was still working at W-2. So he was in that in between of he's making really good money over here, but still pursuing that real estate dream. So he was definitely a good first foot in the door into the real estate in Omaha.
Yeah, it's amazes me how many people do both. Real estate on the side, if you will, and then W-2. Like, that's the position I'm in. I mean, I recently got my license, but there was I can't remember his name, deputy somebody came in. I think he had 20 days left, so I don't know how close he is to retirement from the sheriff's department here in Omaha or Douglas County. And he said he's been doing this for like 18 years or something like that, doing both of them. And he said he makes more money doing real estate on the side, but he's got benefits and everything with his day job. And now here in whatever 20 days, 20 work days, whatever he has left, he's going to be going full-time real estate. But he's got the benefit still from the Douglas County Sheriff's Department.
I definitely miss that. I miss having the insurance and never having to worry about, kids need to go to the doctors. That was probably the biggest transition when I got out of the military, and I'm been officially out for a little over a year now, and actually a little under a year. So anyways, having to learn how to go buy insurance. I enlisted when I was 17. I had no idea how to go buy insurance. I went and bought a $1,200 a month supplemental package or something that didn't actually have health insurance or dental or vision. And so I tried using that at the doctors, and they looked at me like I was a fool, which I was, because I didn't know any better. And so through finding the right connections, the right advocates that are experts in that area, it's a learning curve.
That is one of the downsides of the military is you don't know
How to
join
adult.
like I didn't know anything about health insurance. Luckily, I still, being retired military, still have health insurance through them. But yeah, I wouldn't know how to go get health insurance.
No.
I guess I never grew up.
Well, and I was at a crossroads. I was at that 10-year mark, and I was like, do I really want to do this for another 10 years? And then 10 years turns into 15, and then 15 turns into, wow, just one more promotion, just one more. It's like, well, if I put the next 10 years of my life into real estate, do I think that I can provide more freedom to my family than the military can provide to me? And then also is the risk of pursuing self-employment, or whatever you want to call it, business ownership, entrepreneurship, versus having the military tell me when I can travel and tell me when I can go on vacation, and all those things. And before we started, you mentioned yesterday going on a date with your wife, and your date was shopping. That's one thing that my wife and I say all the time is our date nights is stopping at Don and Millie's on the way home for some French fries. Like we make a date out of anything because we have the freedom to do that now. When I was in the military, right now, my old unit is out in Hastings, and they can't be here doing stuff like this. So obviously there's stressors, of the ebbs and flows of income and um, having to learn how to buy insurance. But it's well worth the sacrifice to have the freedom of time.
Yeah. So I, similar to you, I already mentioned it, that, being in the military, but I joined when I was 19. I did start going to school for electrical engineering, and then decided that was not, I didn't like school to begin with. I struggled to pay attention in high school, and uh, parents said, go to school or get a real job. I said, I'll try school. That lasted all of like 3 months, and then I said, I'm going to join the military. So I joined at 19, stayed in, retired right before I turned, well, I guess right after I turned 39. So been out for a few years now, but it it blinds you. Like I left my parents' house, going to school where I had food, I had housing. Joined the military where I had food, I had housing, I had insurance. Like it was all the same thing, and I still, realistically, the military still pays for my housing because I got a retirement check.
Yep.
They still pay for my food. They still pay for my insurance. So I have never had to really worry about that. I mean, you always have some stability with the military, but there's a lot of downsides there too. But
Well, I mean, how often have you heard people suggest that you get out of the W-2 and pursue this real estate dream? I mean, it's constant, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, that safety and that security. It's like one question that I talk with investors all the time is they ask, should I pay off my house? I say, well, it depends. And my answer to pretty much everything is it depends. Like there is no right answer. Like you said, YouTube videos, all the gurus will say this is the way you invest. It's not true. Like if you have stable income, if you're making a lot of money at your W-2, keep doing that, and then go invest that and make that money start working for you. But if you're struggling getting ready to start a business, having a paid off house is the best peace of mind because you never have to worry about it. Now, sure, the velocity of your money would be a lot better if you leverage that and invest it. But I don't know. I mean, you get to that point where it's like I don't really care. I'd rather have the peace of mind.
it's it is a hard thing to balance. Is, should I pay off my house? If I have a paid off house, should I put a HELOC on the house and use that money? And like you said, velocity of money. If you have a $500,000 house, no one would sit there with $500,000 in a bank account earning nothing in interest.
It would be a bad investment.
It'd be a bad investment, but we do it with our houses all the time. I think statistics are somewhere around 60% of houses in America paid off or nearly paid off.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's higher than you think. But what could somebody be doing with that money? I don't know what the average house is, but I'm sure it's in the 300,000 range nationwide. But I know in Omaha right now, the median sell price is around 300. So I would assume nationwide it's got to be somewhere around there. It's always, like you said, it's always hard to decide what to do. And at the end of the day, it comes down to risk tolerance. I know for me and Valerie, we have different risk tolerances. She's stuffed money in the mattress, old school type person. And I'm like, let's go out, let's buy this.
Right.
Let's leverage life and be a little more aggressive. So.
Yeah, I think I'm at the point now where I would prefer, and me, I have much higher risk tolerance than my wife. Like, I mean, buying deals with hard money and build parachute on the way down. But
So do you think that's part of the military?
maybe I don't know. I feel like the military there wasn't a lot of gray area. It was very black and white.
I guess another way to ask that is, do you think it's the same mentality that drove you to the military that's the same mentality that gets you to be more aggressive?
Possibly. Yeah, I guess I never really thought of that. I don't think I never had to do very high risk things in the military. It was systematic. If this then that. I feel like I didn't have to think very much. Like obviously my job wasn't overly difficult. I was a vehicle mechanic. It was vehicle comes due for a service, print the work order, submit it for service. Like it was clockwork. Somebody's got to do the job. Whereas now in real estate, there's a lot more thinking involved, and more strategy, and more negotiations, and I don't know. I don't really see a whole lot of overlap from the military experience and the risk side. I think that had I not been in the military, I probably would have been more careless with my investments. But because of my time in the military, I feel like I have to fully understand what I'm doing before I'm ready to take, I think that the risk is mitigated just through knowledge,
Yeah, that is very true. And I'll say this and then kind of dive into, I guess, my story a little bit. But my wife Valerie, I mentioned her a couple times. She's very fearful of real estate, fearful of entrepreneurship, business. And it's funny because her dad owns a business and she just kind of grew up in it. And it was her, like, that's all she knows from growing up, but she doesn't understand the business side of it. And so starting out, and, it was a family business. I think he's the third generation owner. So it was already established. It wasn't like she doesn't understand the process of starting something new, if you will. And so that brings in fear, which you don't know you're fearful of. And I understand that, but the same token, like, it's hard to, when somebody they don't want to know, but then they say, well, I'm scared, so it's an interesting conundrum, I guess, if you will. But yeah, I kind of give a brief story of my upbringing from Louisiana originally, born and raised. Lived in the same house from the day they brought me home from the hospital to the day I left the military. So a little bit over 19 years. So left right after I turned 19. 20 years in the military. I did aircraft maintenance, IT type stuff, and traveled all around the world. Did multiple things and multiple jobs, multiple missions. I always was in a small mission set, so they call them military high demand, low density. So there wasn't a lot of assets, but we were in high demand, basically, is what that means. And so I did that. Got on an airplane here that there's only 4 of them in the world, called the Doomsday plane. Fly the SecDef around, back up Air Force One if need be. Basically flying Pentagon. And so I got on that. Did that I got here in 06. And so I did that from 06 to when I retired, and then still do that as well, doing IT, basically level 2 engineering support. So they have their day-to-day maintenance people, and then I do that, support them. So I have a second cell phone that I get to carry around, and when the bat phone rings, I deploy. But I call it glorified Maytag repairman. But I
doing some pretty cool stuff though.
It's funny because when I tell the story, everybody's like, "Oh, dude, that's awesome." But then for me, it's just life. Like when I was in the military, and I remember I went home for something. I was back in Louisiana. I was at a crawfish place and ran into some guys from high school, and they're like, "Oh, what are you doing?" I'm telling them, I'm like, "Oh, I just got back from this country, and we're did this and flew all the way around the world." And like when you're living it, like it's just it's not that
normal.
cool. Yeah. But when you express it, it sounds like, yeah, I flew whatever it was, 26 hours to Australia, and then spend a day and a half there, and then go to the next country, and then it's like constantly, like, you don't really get to see it. Yeah, I've been to a lot of countries, but
you're working.
Yeah, like we went to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and I think we were on the ground like 10 hours. Like it wasn't like when we hit the ground running, we went to see as much as we could.
Yeah, of course.
But we didn't sleep just to get as much time on the ground and get to see as much, do as much sightseeing as possible. But yeah, to me, it's like anything. Like you talk to somebody, it's just like, and it goes back to the saying, it might be Brandon Turner that says it, but get around people that make or what your goals are feel like a Tuesday morning. And that's kind of what it seems like. It's just Tuesday morning, it's just life. So, but anyhow, I got here in 06. I met my wife in 2009, 2010, something like that. Dated for a few years, got married. 2012, she had a daughter, Alyssa. She was 3 when we started dating. She was 5 when we got married. And then we have 2 others, Adeline and Aubrey. And just living the life and enjoying things, and move. I actually left here, moved back to Louisiana for 3 years with my military, and then when I retired, moved back here. And then
gosh, that's most people do that, huh? I've met so many people that have the same story of, I got stationed here and decided to plant our flag.
I didn't decide. My wife decided moved us back. But
Well, yeah.
I don't have any regrets. I mean, I got a weekly newsletter that I started putting out, and I wrote this week was like on basically a state of investing in Omaha, and so digging into the numbers and stuff like that. Omaha's a good place to invest.
Yeah.
Like 2008, when the housing market, I think Omaha went down 3%. When other places, Vegas,
30, 40.
yeah, 30, 40, 50%. The coast, and Omaha went down 3%. So, but yeah, so I retired right as COVID hit, and I think I had been here doing my new job like 3 weeks when COVID hit. So of course they're like, "Oh, what's going to happen? I'm going to lose my job." Everybody's losing jobs. I said, "No, I should be good," because I worked for a defense contractor and had a 10-year contract with the government. So felt pretty secure with that. Once again, government job. Not knowing what to do with COVID, and I started just digging around. I found BiggerPockets once again, and I'm like, I'm reading on there about meetups, this, that, and the other, and somehow I came across Colin Schwartz's name. And so I sent him a message, I think, on BiggerPockets. I said, "Hey, looking to get into real estate. What should I do?" He said, "Go to these 2 meetups," and pointed to his meetup, the Omaha real estate meetup or whatever, and then the Omaha RIA meetup. And so I went there. He was having it at Site 1 at the time. I went to Site 1 downtown and ran straight to the back and sat in the corner and hid, scared, not knowing what I was doing. So,
which is actually where we wound up meeting. Site 1.
Is that where we met?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't remember.
Yeah. Well, so it's funny because I had a client at the time, Nick Sells, who's now a business partner of mine on a outside real estate venture. And he had just bought a duplex with me to house hack. He wanted to get into the investing stuff. And then he was at a meetup and just said, "Hey, you really got to meet Ryan." And,
he gave me your number. I remember we kind of exchanged texts or something like that. And then we ended up meeting. I don't remember where we met, but I remember reaching out to you, and it goes back to networking. So
that's similar how I started too. Is I found Owen first and messaged him something along the lines of like, "I want to do a real estate," not literally, but I was green. I had no idea what I was talking about, and he probably asked me something. I have to go back and look at the messages, but it was something like, "Okay, what strategy do you want?" Strategies? Yeah, I just told you, real estate. Yeah, and so, but it was cool because at least when I showed up, I didn't realize how big of a figure he was in the Omaha scene, and he comes up and treats you like it's Tuesday, And whereas I feel like people, when they get that ounce of stardom, they kind of let it get to the head. But he's always been a very real guy and just wants to help people. And it's nice to find a lot of genuine people like that in this scene. So, and through going to those meetups, I met Ted. Ted convinced me to get my real estate license, joined his real estate team, and then now on track to get my broker's license. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I didn't know anything about Colin. I didn't even know how I came across his name, but reached out, and I'm sure he's, my message was probably like, "Yep, here comes another one."
Yeah.
So, but I think BiggerPockets, for those starting out, it's great. Obviously, we both got somewhat of a start there. So
it's 0 to 1. I mean, that's the hardest part. And I remember being that guy sitting in the back corner of the real estate meetup, not hoping that no one tried to talk to me, because then they would hear that I have no idea what I'm talking about. And then the more I go to, the more I realize, like, we're all trying to figure it out. No matter what level you're at, we're all trying to figure it out. I know people, that have $100 million funds that are still trying to figure it out,
Like, we try to throw around ideas, come up with a script, like, just do it. Like, if we sit here, and it's the same thing with real estate. If you sit here, I was on BiggerPockets yesterday, and this guy in the forums, like, I'm thinking about buying a house, the house hag, maybe I'll do a JV, something. He's like, "Do I need an LLC before I do all this?" I'm like, "Just take action. Just go. Just go." Like, we met, I don't know, last week or something, talked about this, like, let's just do it. I'm like, okay. Message you. I said, "Hey, how's next Friday look?" I'll clear my schedule. And okay, let's do it. So it's
and I think some of the best advice that I've gotten is, like, people have this hesitation to even turn the camera on and start recording themselves because they think, "Oh, well, what if I mess up and people are going to notice?" People don't care. They really don't.
I said parachute to the podcast.
Both good and bad. I mean, in one example, like getting on the which one? Active Duty Passive Income podcast. And one of the coolest things for me was that the podcast lineup when mine came out, it was like Ryan Pineda, Jay Scott, Tanner Sherman. And I was like, that's so cool. Nobody cares. I'm the only one in the entire world who thinks that's cool. But that's the same is true about the negatives. Like people don't remember, it's I can't remember who said it, but something about, stop thinking that you're that important.
Yeah, it's
that people take time out of their day to,
we always play into it more than like in leadership. They tell you always be transparent, because if you're trying to hide something, it could be on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like a 2 or a 3. And you're hiding it from people. Their mindset, they go straight to 10.
Yep.
Like
Absolutely.
Worst case scenario. So if it's a 1, a 2, a 3, like just tell them, hey, X and Y, Z is about to happen, and it's going to free up so much fear and anxiety and stress for them. But that's what we do. Like we think too much into it. We care too much, and it just never. 9 times out of 10 never materializes.
And that's, one thing that I've said is that feeling that you get in your stomach when, you're standing at the edge of a cliff and you're looking down, right? That fear. It's the same feeling that we have when we're, on the edge of something really great. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to differentiate between the two. Is this fear of safety, or is this fear that's, me stopping myself from something that could be truly phenomenal?
Yeah. We had every reason not to record. We don't have a podcast. We're sitting in my living room, with some $50 lights from Amazon and my wife's camera. So we got the dog barking outside, wants to come in, and a sick darter downstairs. Like,
but it's real and
it's
raw.
It is, and that's why we said, like, let's just record. Let's just do something, tell our story. We'll bring people in and hear their story, and we're all on a path. We're all on a journey.
That's to say, normalize the struggle. Like being real and being raw. It's like there's no need to posture. One
of my favorite sayings is, "Life's hard. Choose your heart." Like you can be broke and struggling. Life's hard. You can be a business owner and life's hard, or you can, be a multi-billionaire and have multi-billionaire troubles. I don't know what those are, but I'm sure they have their own struggles too.
I think in this pursuit of the ultimate freedom, it's, prioritizing money first. That was the biggest mistake that I think we made in this journey. Was I so focused and obsessed with making more money, having more, getting, and then when you get it, it's not enough. And then you have this desire for now I need more than that. And when you're always looking to the future, it's very difficult to be content with the present. And so I think over the past probably year or two, that's where I've got really focused on my faith. I got baptized recently, probably 6 months ago, and really focused on just enjoying the ride and enjoying the day to day, and taking a break to go play with my kids outside. It's very easy, especially as a man, that, I'm used to just wanting to work hard and always put more time in and more, but I could sit in that chair from 8 a.m. until, midnight, 3 a.m. the next day. No problem. But what's really hard is to step away from that and realize why I'm doing this is sitting in the other room right now, waiting for me to come watch a show with them. And if I say, oh, well, I'll go hang out with them when I, insert poor excuse here, then they're going to be grown and gone by the time I ever reach that.
I said this quote before to you and your wife. I heard somewhere before. The only people that are going to remember that you worked late at night is your wife and kids, or your significant other and kids. And it's true. Like, you can have a team of 100 people. They're going to find a reason to hate you. They're going to find a reason to complain about you. They're going to, they're not going to care that you work till midnight, 3 o'clock in the morning. So go deal with those people that, you want to. Like, I have to work late next week, and, like, it's hard because family has something going on that night, and I already have a schedule for work that I don't like. Hey, sorry, I can't be there for you. And that's what brings me back. We're talking about freedom. For me, I have a retirement check coming in. I got VA disability coming in, so I'm at a different financial situation than some people. But I still don't have that freedom of time. And to me, that's what financial freedom really comes down to, is me being able to tell work, like, or not even tell work, just quitting my job, and just being able to say, no, my family has something going on, and I need to be there for them. So I was listening, actually, it's a new audiobook, Essentialism. I don't know if you ever, so I started listening to it, I'm not pour into it, but that's basically was talking about basically doing whatever's essential, like letting everything else go. He's telling the story, I think it was his story, of a brand new baby, like still in the hospital, days old, and his boss convinced him that he needed to come in for the sales meeting or sales pitch or something. And the people he was selling it to knew he had just had a baby, and they almost looked down on him. He said nothing came out of the meeting. If I'd have been there or not been there, nothing would have changed. Chances are it hurt the relationship because they would looked at him as like, this guy's selling out his family for this meeting. What else is he willing to sell out? So
it's crazy. I was just talking to my wife the other day about something very similar where I don't remember who it was, some big time CEO. We heard a story. It might have even been a TV show. I don't remember, but big shot was cheating on his wife and whatever, and got caught, and business deals failed and stuff. And so I think that's comes back to the core values of like, I would never do business with someone that openly cheats on their wife, because if you don't value the most, the covenant of marriage and the most important partnership that you'll ever have on earth, then you are going to kick me to the wayside the first time it's convenient.
Yeah.
And so one thing that we say is when we're hiring employees or recruiting, or even just deciding to partner with people, is do our values align and do our goals and our vision align? Because if our values don't align, we're never gonna do business. And if our goals don't align, we might be motivated, but we're going in different directions. And if you're trying to go east and I'm trying to go west, then we can go at the same speed. It's just gonna be tug of war.
Oh.
So, and then if especially when it comes to employees, is if our values align and our vision aligns, I'll find a spot somewhere.
Going in this entrepreneurship journey, that's one thing I've heard time and time again is before you get started, before you get too far down the road, make sure that you have vision and you have I'm trying to blank on the word I want to use, but your words that you want to integrity, honesty, whatever you have for your company.
Yeah.
Your values mapped out. So, too many times people don't, and they don't hire to fill a position versus hiring to build long-term sustainable growth in the company. So,
right,
it's easy to do. I mean, you have a need. Have you ever read the book Buy Back Your Time? Have you read that one by Dan Martell? That's the other one. So I got it somewhere around here. Borrow it or something.
Yeah.
But
so on the topic of freedom, we talk about the different levels of freedom. Right now, I mean, you have like you said, you have multiple streams of income. You have the freedom of, if you got hurt, something happened to you, God forbid, your family's going to be okay. That is one level of freedom. Another level of freedom is if you chose to just walk away from work, you're going to be okay. And I think that the extra padding is a good, security to fall back on when, you inevitably do take the jump fully into entrepreneurship. And there's too many people out there that are trying to convince, new, especially young people, that they need to take the jump, get away from your W-2, go pursue that, go wholesale. It's easy. You'll make $10,000 a month, But in reality, I think, Hormozy says it, your highest and best use right now is to go out and make as much money as you can doing something. Like, if you are broke, fix that first. Don't go out and try and chase the Lambos, and again, talking about, I can't remember who this guy was, but he was talking about how, in his circle, he got the Lambo and he was the guy known for having a Lambo, bought a new house, moved in this new neighborhood where they all kind of looked down on him for having a Lambo because it's like, it's a cheap car to them. And, they're all driving G-Wagons and stuff. And again, it's that more, sounds more keeping up with the Joneses, but more of what he realized from that was that, there's different levels to it. Once you're at the top, it's time to upgrade, go to the next room, and find people that treat that like a Tuesday, and so, but at the same time, he found that being so materialistic about it, was hitting that achievement of, I've made it when I got that Lamborghini, to then realizing that, oh, It's a car.
People always say, "Oh, he's successful. He's this. He's that." But like, you can always get in a higher room. Like, you graduated kindergarten at some point in time. You might have been the best kindergartner.
Yeah, 3 times.
If you'd have stayed in there for 3 years, like, could you imagine? Like, you might not have been the best the first time, but the second time you might have been the third time. Like, you just gonna stay in kindergarten your whole life, or do you go up and it's the same thing. Like, people think, well, I graduated high school, I'm done. Or I graduated college, I'm done. Hey, I got my MBA, I'm done. I'm CEO of this company, I'm done. But there's always something that you can be chasing. There's always, I think people have to define success based on their own merits and their vision for themselves. And, we're a handful of miles from Warren Buffett. Like, he bought his house, top 10 richest dudes, and I don't know where he's at now, but he bought his house when he was
top 5. Yeah.
Yeah. He bought his house when he was 20 something, 30 years old.
For, what was it, like $15,000 or something?
He still lives in that same house. Like, he didn't keep up with the Joneses. Top 5 dude in the world.
Yep.
Can be content. Like, there's no reason to keep chasing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
What does financial freedom, at least level 1, look like for you?
Yeah, I think level 1 for me is, one, I hate the term passive income, because there's no true passive income. The second you get passive, you're going to lose your money. So, but if I have enough income that isn't based on me trading my time for money, through multiple, other streams, to cover my living expenses and spending money, that's level 1.
So, just throw out a random number, say $10,000 a month coming in from something that you don't have to actively do every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny, when I was still in the military, my wife and I met with a financial advisor, and he does the whole put down your income, your expenses, all this stuff. And then asked us the question was, so how much money would you need to come in every month to feel, baseline retired, and I said something around like, yeah, I forgot, like 6,000 or 7,000 a month. Like, I'd feel okay. And at the time I was in the military making 4,500 a month. So I thought 6,000 or 8,000, that's pretty good. My wife we put on a piece of paper, and my wife put, I think, somewhere like 20,000. I looked at like 20,000, like, that's so much money. And then to get to the point where you're making that every month and realize, wow, this isn't a whole lot. Like, this isn't enough to provide for my family yet. So I think my levels have changed a little bit, drastically, in the last few years. And just to cover basic living expenses, food, clothing, spending money, kids can do whatever sport they want. I think that number,
family vacation or something.
We don't even, not even that. Just
not even that.
Just
okay.
Baseline. They're comfortable, and I don't have to tell my kids no. That's my first level of financial freedom. Is kids say, "Hey, can we go to a pizza machine today?"
At least you have it defined. So many people, and it's kind of really the point of this, is like, so many people don't have a vision. They let today happen to them. Like, I have trouble sleeping a lot of times, and normally I wake up at 5 o'clock. Well, this morning I woke up at like 2 or something like that. Came out here, did a couple things for a while, finally fell back asleep, and I woke up and it was like, I don't know, 6:30, 6:45. So that's like an hour and a half late for me. And woke up, my daughter was already the one that's sick. She was already awake. And I'm just like, life just started happening right away to me. And it threw me off. Like, my whole morning, I had my normal morning routine, the whole put your oxygen mask on first type thing, and take care of yourself so you can take care of others. And it threw me off.
That's you should go deeper on that. And put your oxygen mask on first.
Yeah, it's obviously stolen from the airline, but people try so much to give and give and give till they burn themselves out. But if you're not taking care of yourself first, you're no good to anybody else. If your health isn't good, your fitness isn't good, your emotional standpoint isn't good, your spiritual standpoint isn't good, whatever it is,
you're no good to anyone.
You're no good to anybody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I actually slept good night before last, and I told Valerie, I was like, I am so much happier, so much, like, just from getting good sleep for the first time in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever it's been. My emotion, like, I was happy. I'm like, hey, let's go on a date tonight. Like, let's go shopping.
Yeah.
But it's just completely night and day. But finally, I need some sleep, popped melatonin, and finally got some good sleep. But yeah, you're not taking care of yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually.
Mm.
You're no good to anybody else. So I try to do that in the morning. So kind of a routine that I do to try to take care of myself.
No, I think that's important. We so often, especially when we try and be better about time blocking, being intentional with our calendar and saying, computers are shut at 5:30. We spend 5:30 to 9 with the kids. Once they're down for bed, we'll bring our computers back out and maybe watch a movie together or something, but usually, some kind of work is involved. And, we could do that till 2, 3 in the morning and then sleep. And when we get up, it's, coffee is flowing heavy. So I definitely get what you mean. And I think it is so important to give yourself that rest to start the day, not start it in chaos. As I'm sure you can imagine,
Yeah.
family of 9, it's kind of chaotic, and first thing in the morning. Like this morning, we overslept a little bit, and kids had to be to school, and I didn't realize that we ran out of lunch meat and bread yesterday. So luckily, I live across the street from a grocery store, so run across the street, come back, start making everyone's lunches. But that little, what do you call it, change of pace, it just changes the speed of the rest of the day.
It does. It does. So
what do you call it? Routine pattern interrupt. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so the level 1 financial freedom, I think it could be different for everyone, but I think just if anything was to happen to me, I would want my kids to not have to worry about groceries and not have to worry about, the electric and mortgage and all that stuff to get paid. And, the level 2 and stuff is more selfish reasons,
Yeah.
But the first has to be my wife and kids. And even if you subcategory that down even more, is if we had, 70% of that level 1 number coming in, my wife doesn't have to also work as hard as I am. She could then start to, take more time off and do stuff that she enjoys and spend more time with the kids. Like right now, being, dual income, like we both have to bust our butts all the time. And if she just had to put 50% of the effort in and could spend more time with the kids, to me, that is bliss.
That is definitely a good thing. So, well, I don't know if you have anything else. You kind of wrap it up here. Maybe we should make sure we actually record it.
Yeah, that's a good start.
It's our first time setting all this up, so we'll see how this goes. But do you have anything before signing off and let this barking dog in?
No, I think I think there's a lot to unpack, and I look forward to the opportunity to talk to other, I'd say entrepreneurial minded, but it's really just hear what freedom minded, hear what that level 1 financial freedom means to a lot of different people. And as we connect with other business owners and other, working professionals, and just hear how it is that they have struggled with that balance, because I feel like it's normal for us all to be struggling with that balance.
Yeah, it is. It definitely, like I said, life's a struggle. Choose your hard. So
it's a good mic drop right there.
Yeah. So, well, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully this first one got recorded, and we'll have to keep them going. So,
yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh.